I came home to find her distressed over a news segment she had seen earlier about a newly approved method of execution. I can't remember where, maybe Ohio. She went on to describe the process where once someone sits in the chair, a mechanical arm automatically engages. This arm applies a local anesthetic to its prongs, supposedly to ensure a completely painless experience before twisting the person's head off. She kept explaining, but about 30 seconds in, it was clear this wasn't real. I tried to reassure her, which turned into an argument, and she ended up sending me the video she had watched. It was a clip from The Onion. This was clearly fake. Not even clever satire, just outright ridiculous. Even so, I tried to laugh it off, showing her the source and explaining what they do, yet she wouldn't let it go. It's the news, they can't just make things up. I left her that week. My ex attempted to dine and dash, but made the dumb mistake of leaving his car in the parking lot of the place I had picked him up from. I drove him back, took his wallet, made him cover the entire bill, and left a $30 tip for the poor waitress who was crying in the back. We watched Shrek together, and she refused to believe that the same person who voiced Shrek also played Austin Powers. Their accents don't match, she argued. I explained that the actor was just using different voices, but she couldn't comprehend it. When I added that the Austin Powers voice wasn't his real speaking voice either, that was too much for her to process. My best friend's ex genuinely believed that online cloud storage meant data was kept in actual clouds. He worried that his information would be lost whenever it rained. He was 19 and worked in the trades. They deliberately put shrimp in my meal to test if my seafood allergy was real or if I was just overreacting. I had a severe allergic reaction, needed my EpiPen, and was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. The doctors advised me to press charges. They never admitted they were wrong. They never apologized. I had a huge argument with my girlfriend at the time because I pointed out a bear crossing sign. She called me an idiot, insisting that there were no bears in Michigan. I reminded her that we were heading to the Sleeping Bear Dunes. That led to a debate about whether our hometown, also in Michigan, had bears. I said yes, she said that was impossible, and that I was dumb for thinking it. We fought about how she couldn't date someone so stupid. A week later, a car accident occurred less than a mile from her house. A vehicle had hit a bear. I sent her the news article, which just triggered another argument. In my early 20s, I moved in with my boyfriend. When I got my period, he demanded to know what had happened to the egg. This 21-year-old man, whose mother was a nurse and whose sister had just given birth to twins, genuinely believed that human women laid an egg during their period. My college girlfriend lacked any basic life skills. When she got a flat tire while driving alone, she just stood by the car looking helpless until a guy stopped to assist. He changed the tire, but without her knowing, he had engaged the parking brake. She got back in the car, and when it wouldn't move, she ran back to the guy and asked, "Did you put the wheel on backward?" No joke, she actually told people this story. We were discussing my dog, who was about to be spayed, and the aftercare, including stitches on her belly. He was confused, so I asked him to explain how he thought female dogs were spayed. His answer? Don't they just sew it shut? He kept insisting it was unhealthy not to have a period regularly because that's how it cleans itself out. He even called me gross for not having one due to the birth control I was on. For his benefit, he constantly littered, which I hated. The moment I called him out for spitting gum onto a zoo sidewalk, he said, "It'll evaporate." I laughed, assuming he was joking. But when I told him to use the trash can, he looked genuinely confused. That's when I realized he actually believed trash evaporates in the sun. We had a full-blown debate over it. Edit. The real fool was me, because I stayed with him for 3 more years. Back in the 90s, a guy invited me over for dinner, promising to make scallops. Loving seafood, I was excited. Turns out he made boxed Betty Crocker scalloped potatoes. And he didn't even cook them properly. They were still half raw. However, I met his roommate that night. We've now been married for almost 30 years, so it worked out in the end. I took her to dinner and gave her 2 choices, an Italian restaurant or a general restaurant with a variety of options. She said she hated Italian food, so we chose the latter. She ordered lasagna. One year, Google's April Fool's prank claimed you could taste objects displayed on your phone screen by licking it. She tried multiple times, then complained it wasn't working. I dated a woman who was fun, but not very sharp. One afternoon while walking outside, I casually mentioned the moon. She stopped, stared at it, and said, "That can't be the moon." After some questioning, I discovered she believed the sun and moon could never be in the sky at the same time. The sun and the moon were the same object. The moon was just the sun after it ran out of fuel. This led to a spiral of bizarre misconceptions and minor conspiracy theories. We liked joking around, but I eventually started feeling sorry for her. My ex would find recipes online, not follow them, and then blame them for being bad. She'd swap breadcrumbs for flour or randomly add red pepper flakes to dishes that weren't meant to be spicy. The worst Swedish meatballs I've ever had. We had an argument over whether dinosaurs existed during the American Revolution. Her stance? There's really no way to be sure. While at dinner, my period started, and he asked if I could hold it. I once dated a guy who was decent but not the brightest. His worst habit? He owned only one towel and barely washed it. Maybe every couple of months. It was stiff as a board. So for Christmas, I got him a full towel set. He stared at it in confusion and said, "But I already have a towel. It gets cleaner every time I use it." She always complained about feeling too hot or cold, but insisted her home's temperature never changed. Turns out she had never removed the protective sticker from her digital thermometer. It just permanently displayed 72 degrees. Before GPS, I asked a girl for directions. She told me, "Go past the train tracks, take the second left, third right, second right, then another left." I followed them exactly, ended up lost every time. As an experiment, I reversed every left and right she had given me. I found her house immediately. During our date, she also told me she wanted to be a veteran because she loved animals. She didn't believe I had a gluten sensitivity and thought I was just picky. She lied about ordering a gluten-free dish to prove I was faking. I ended up hospitalized in a foreign country on the other side of the world. 3 weeks later, I was officially diagnosed with celiac. She lost a girlfriend.